I think we have something completely wrong in the awakening and personal development communities, and it's in regards to what we think purpose is supposed to mean for our life. So that's what I want to deep dive into today and really look at what is life's purpose, and is putting life in front of it even the right thing to do? Or is there a better way to look at this that actually gives us the freedom to feel more purposeful in our everyday movement? So that's what we're going to dive into. Let's go. So we've been having a lot of conversations, Violet and I, here with our clients, and especially in our communities lately, about why they're here, what they're supposed to be doing with their lives, where they're supposed to be going. And a lot of people are feeling really, I'm going to use the word helpless, or like they aren't actually making an impact, or they feel like they have all this goodness inside of them and they're trying to spread it out into the universe, and the universe just doesn't seem to be receiving it. It's not coming back in the form of people that are, coming to receive the messages, or, impacts or movements that feel really aligned to them. And so what I noticed with a lot of my clients, and I think you've seen this too, Violet, in the community, a lot of people will tell us, I don't know what my purpose is.
Yeah, that one, honestly, every time people come into, whenever we've done an event like a Starseed Accelerator, it's the number one question, because we always ask people, like, what are you searching for? What kind of information are you looking for? And they're all like, I want to know what my purpose is. And I think people have been on a bit of a journey through their whole lives for this. I know for myself, that was definitely the case. I was constantly looking for direction, like feeling lost, feeling rudderless, like I didn't know where to go. And looking around the world for examples of where that could be and just not seeing something that felt right for me. So I think that's probably the case for a lot of our people here. And one of the things that I think trips us up with the whole purpose conversation is this idea that it has to equate to a career. And for some people, I think it does, but not necessarily for everybody.
Yeah, that's one of the big ones, actually, when I'm working, especially with one-on-one clients, or I'm coaching within, like our decode communities and whatnot. A lot of people think that how they make their money has to be how they make their mark.
Mm.
And one of the first things that I could do is give you guys this clearing. It's your career doesn't have to be your purpose. And purpose is actually a momentary element in your life. What do I mean by this? So you have multiple opportunities. Maybe not every day. Some days are going to be totally mundane. You're going to do the dishes, you're going to do the laundry, a kid's going to spill something on the floor, you got to be the taxi cab over here. And your purpose that day sometimes feels like it's just to survive the monotony of what humanity is at this time on planet Earth, and that's okay. But the next day, you might have a higher calling, and it might be momentary. And so in that moment, your purpose may be to show up as a helper for that one purpose or person that needed you, or it might be to advocate for a group of people in that moment, or it might be to put your money where your mouth is for some kind of movement or thing that is going on. One of the big misconceptions that people have is that you're going to have one singular purpose or one singular overarching theme for your entire life. And what is true about mission is that the underlying current of your mission will be the same from birth to death. You will have an inherent archetype that you programmed into your energy field for you to carry through your entire life, that will have you showing up in a similar capacity with different plot twists every time. An example of that I could give is really prevalent here in the personal development and energy healing communities, and that's wanting to be a healer helper in some regard. But you might not do it in the capacity I do. You might not show up as a healer. You might actually be a nurse, and you might be helping people every single day and going, well, I'm not doing enough, except you're actually doing everything. You're still in alignment with your mission, which is to be a helper. And it doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you're helping. Technically, you could be the garbage recycling man. You are helping humanity by keeping the world a cleaner place. And so this is a big thing that people really misconstrue, is that mission is lifelong, purpose is momentary, meaningful moments, right?
Yeah. Okay. So there is actually a difference between purpose
Big
and
difference.
because I hear people interchange the words all the time.
They shouldn't.
Yeah.
What it does is it creates this fogginess for people. They feel like they have to have this huge epiphany and light bulb moment and go, Eureka, I'm here to have this career and make my money exactly like this and only do this for the rest of my life. And it feels heavy because no matter what they do, it might feel good for a little while, but like most of the people hanging out with this, and sure, this is valid, it feels good for a bit. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm bored. I need a bigger challenge. I need a change of scenery. I feel like my energy is supposed to go over here. Right. And so having those two things mixed up actually creates distortion in your energy field and keeps you from getting onto those stepping stones and following what soul is actually asking you to do.
So that's kind of the first thing we need to do is separate those, because that in itself, interchanging those two terms and thinking they're one and the same is
Mhm.
contributing to you feeling lost and like you don't know what your purpose or your mission is.
Absolutely.
So what does that do to a person if they're feeling that way? They don't know what their purpose is. They're feeling like they just can't figure it out, or like whatever, no matter what they do, they don't fit and they can't find it. Like, how does that actually play out in their life or even in their body? Like, what does that do to somebody?
Yeah, let's go through a couple of layers of that because it could show up in a number of ways. So the body is a multidimensional matrix. And so we can't ever isolate and say things are only going to show up spiritually, emotionally, or only physically. There's always going to be tiers to it. So if you are my client today and you come in and you tell me, I don't feel like what, or I don't know what my purpose is, I'm feeling lost and confused, I feel stuck, your body is going to be receiving signals from your thinking brain, thinking those same I'm lost, I'm stuck, I'm spinning thoughts all the time. And it's going to create a set of symptoms that mimic the thoughts that you are having. Now, unfortunately, for most people, those symptoms are really not desirable. So, what we see in people experiencing this all the time is a lot of really stubborn health issues that, despite a ton of interventions, vitamins, minerals, exercise, the doctors doing tests, blood panels, all the things just don't seem to go away. And they are burdened with a diagnosis now or a disorder, which basically means we don't know what you have or why you have it, but obviously you have a problem. They are burdened by this and they can't get away from it no matter what they do, which leaves them feeling stuck and lost and spinning and like nothing is working. You can see the irony in the mirror in this. We also see a lot of opportunities to move towards their outdated karma. So on a mental, emotional level, these people will be presented with a lot of blasts from the past opportunities where it's like, here's another lover who's exactly like your ex, or here's a career that's going to push you and abuse you the same way your last one did. And it glosses over all of these red flags and you go and return that way. So the mental mind gets kind of screwed over that way.
Well, and that will keep making you think you're stuck because no matter what you do, you can't get
Yep.
away from it.
Yeah.
Right.
With these people, I also see on like a natural health level, a lot of imbalances in their vitamins and nutrients. They tend to get a lot of dark circles around the eyes, kidney imbalances. They tend to get a lot of like ridging in the fingernails or like little white dots throughout them. We can see a lot of like really stubborn weight gain and hold, or extreme weight loss and hold, where they can't go either way despite what they do. And inflammation is huge for these folks. So inflammation can just be swellingness. Like if you look at your arm and you put your finger in there and you take your finger off and it stays white for a period of time, or your fingers and toes and ankles and stuff are puffy, or you have like a lot going on in this region, those are all signs that we see in people who are spinning with this kind of stuff.
Yeah. What about how they kind of show up in their life? I'm thinking specifically, like as you're talking, what I'm seeing is it's actually reminding me of my mom who would jump from one project to the next. And in her mind, it was always the thing that was like,
Yeah.
her next big thing. And it was her purpose. And then it would last for like 2.2 seconds and she'd be on searching for the next one.
Yes. So this kind of circles into why these people do it. They're actually chasing temporary highs, hoping the high is going to last.
Right.
So this is one of the things I really have to coach people through, because there's this is another conversation for another day. So Violet, don't let me go on this tangent for too long. But a lot of people have this idea that in order to be awakened or spiritually aware or to accelerate, you have to be holding a very specific frequency of like love, acceptance, joy, right? That high bar
vibe
all the
conversation.
time. Your hormones can't do it. You would literally go into a psychosis. So what people don't understand is that our body was built for a dynamic expression. And so when we are jumping from thing to thing, looking for a high that's going to last, we're overriding the moments that are meaningful, which was the purpose of why you did it in the first place. So it doesn't matter what you pick up. It could be scrapbooking, it could be learning animal husbandry, it could be homesteading, it could be a new skill or certification. You're going to have a high for a little while, and then it's going to taper off because it's integrated and it's a part of your being now. And your body no longer needs to spike to get you returning to that same thing. Hopefully that's like not too over, but that's one of the reasons. The second reason is this. A lot of us, no matter what we do, feel unfulfilled. And this actually comes from the core wound that is related to purpose.
Okay.
So, how am I going to make this as concise as possible? When we are dealing with that core wound of purpose, what we're really saying is, I have been living somebody else's life because somebody told me this is how I have to live. And we've been overriding all of our own impulses for however long. It could be this life, but it could also be like multiple past lives that I've seen in some clients' Akashic records. We also see that a lot of people who have the purpose wound going on in their energy field have glossed over all the ways from their childhood, or again, it could be from a past life too, where they've been made small. So a lot of these people have voices and things to share, but they've been told to sit down, shut up, you're too loud, you're too much, we don't want to hear your voice, our opinions are more important than your own. And so then they go and they play aloof to their life. They store those opinions back. They make sure that they let everybody else lead and share what they want to do first. And they really face how this kind of turns out in the grand scheme of things is that because they're never following their own inherent impulses and they're trying to jump on everybody else's bandwagon, they never feel like what they've done is quite right or will ever be enough.
Right.
And so the purpose wound also leads into that whole, we call it death programming around here. If you haven't listened to me for too long, I'm sure you'll hear that term, but the short and skinny of this is death programming is everything we use to keep ourselves small and separate from the collective and all of the connections we can be making. So they use this to keep themselves away from everybody else. And so when they go and implant themselves in community, in a mission, in a message, they never feel like they're the ones making the difference because now they're using all these self-deprecating thoughts and they're not seeing what their intrinsic value to community and connection is.
So they've almost been trained to just like override the truth they are and where they're supposed to be going and all.
That's exactly it, because they're not living in alignment with their mission and they're not looking for the momentary purpose. They're looking for some big high, some big thing that feels grander than any other thing going on this planet at that time, when really it's just about where do you put your energy in the here and now that makes a difference to this micro moment that actually matters.
Okay, so it's that ripple effect. Getting back to that one small movement can ripple out and make a huge difference, and just appreciating that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. I can think of a client example right now that I actually want to share because I think this will drive this home. Mm-hmm. I was working with her. She's actually a mom of one of our students that's come all the way through our Decodes programs. And she came for a session with me and I absolutely adored it. The whole theme was actually a little bit more towards a PTSD anxiety loop that was going on from an accident she was in, but we got on the subject of purpose. And she was telling me about the career she was in. Mm-hmm. And she's already a helper. She works with seniors and looks after them. She takes them on road trips. She takes them to the grocery store, et cetera. And she's like, yeah, I feel like I'm supposed to be helping people, but I'm not doing enough. And I'm like, okay, whoa, hold on, separate these two thoughts. What did you just say? I feel like I'm supposed to be helping people, that's my purpose. And I'm like, what are you doing every day? You are overriding the simple ways that you show up that make a big difference in everybody's lives. And just because nobody else notices doesn't mean that you aren't causing a major movement for that person that you're showing up for that day. She was telling me prior to this too about how much she loves listening to old people talk and their stories. And she loves getting in conversation and talking about their past and their family members and hearing all the history and how the world has changed. And so I had to point it back out to her that your meaningful moments and the purpose of you living in alignment with your mission, which is to be a helper, is by you sitting in the driver's seat of that car and bringing those memories back up, which floods that other person with all those joyous hormones going, this was my life, this was amazing. And now I get to pass this on to somebody else who actually wants to hear me and ask questions about that.
Oh, I got so many chills on that.
Right? Like she's living in alignment. She's doing the work, but she didn't see it because she wasn't wearing the hat of energy healer.
Right. We try to put ourselves into so many boxes all the time. It's really funny.
Yeah, it is. Could you, like, how stupid would it be if every person on this planet who wanted to be a helper was wearing the title of energy healer and they were all running around being like, here's my energy ball, feel better, go back out, whatever. Nobody would get anywhere. We have to show up as helpers in different roles on this planet, but we have to learn to recognize the meaning in those moments if we're ever going to feel fulfilled and like we're doing or what we're doing is actually purposeful, right? I hope this all makes sense and lands for you guys.
Yeah, we do have a couple of resources that we can share with you guys too. So we'll link those in any of the places you can find them.
Yeah, we'll drop them in the comments for you. What I would love to know after this conversation, come join us in either the comment section down below, or if you want, shoot us a quick email. You can come communicate in any of our communities that you're a part of. I would love to hear how you've now recognized where your moments matter and where you're finding momentary purpose and how you're releasing yourself and giving yourself grace from having to have the world on your shoulders and make a difference for everyone, because you can't. You're one person, but you can make a ripple effect wherever you're planted. And that's what we need to start doing in a way better way. So hopefully this helped you guys out today. I think we have a couple more of the core wounds we'd love to cover in some other videos, so stay tuned for those and we'll let you know when those release soon.